Ashe, Ashe. A beautiful grand rising and a grand day to you all once again, my fellow humans. And as customary to be specific, Ashe, and a very beautiful, a very special grand rising and a grand day to you all, my fellow natural, native, earthly humans. Natural, I'm all about that, which is natural, my fellow natural, native, earthly humans. And welcome back. Welcome to this part 4 of this another of my thought-provoking presentation titled Retirement Plan for People 40 to 75. Another perspective, the Mystic Philosopher. Yes, yours truly, the Mystic Philosopher. And let me also remind you, my people, as it is my custom to do, that it is high time for thinking. It's high time to think. High time for thinking, high time for reason, and for reasoning. Now, if you haven't yet watched part 1 to part 3 of this presentation, I ask that you please do so now before watching this part 4. By doing so, you'll get a better understanding, and understanding of my perspectives and my commentary and thoughts and observations as enveloped in the title. Now, just to a quick recap. At the end of part 3, I think I've made a very important point, and one that should be given some very serious attention to for people like myself and to all whom it may concern. Please remember that the subtitle of this presentation is a reality check for people 40 to 75. It's a reality check. That's what I consider to be the subtitle. I think that I have also explained in much detail as possible what is a plan or what a plan is. I also explain in as much detail what is retirement and also what is a retirement plan. And also explain why I think we should, if not why we must have a plan, and why we should or why we must work the plan. Not only have a plan, but we have to put some effort into working the plan. And that without a plan, as my mom used to say, and most people from the Caribbean and particularly Jamaica will understand this idiom or this phrase, this proverb, dog me, I'm your supper. In other words, dog, eat your supper. I made mention the fact that from my perspective, unless we plan to die on the day of our retirement, or very shortly or immediately thereafter, or we just plan, or more correctly, we just carelessly give up and decide to go with the wind or flow with the wind, then a retirement plan of some form is necessary. It is required, if not imperative. It is unavoidable. That's what I think, especially now that I come into that last phase of my life here. In fact, and from my perspective, just the thought of retirement and survival thereafter, for most of us that are not really living, but we are only existing. Yes, most of us are not really living. And if you watch some of my previous presentations and my perspective on what living really and truly is, the fact still remains that most of us ain't really living, but we are only, or may I say, we are merely existing, or as the saying goes, surviving like a drowning man or like a drowning woman that is hanging on to a log after a shipwreck in the middle of the ocean, or after a boat wreck in the middle of the river. Existing or surviving, floating from a, we're just existing, surviving, and floating from what? Paycheck to paycheck in the system. And it's labor force, aka it's forced labor. Most of us may admit to that. Pull away one paycheck and it's over. One paycheck away from total disaster. From my perspective, that alone can be enough to literally scare us, if not frighten us to death. The day the forced labor camp, aka the workforce, / the job, retire us, or very shortly thereafter. And even though one of my favorite prose poems called Desiderata remind me, daily I must add, that I should take, or if you prefer, should accept kindly. Because life is always teaching us lessons, that we should accept or take kindly the counsel of the years, and that I should not distress myself with vain imaginings. In fact, please let me quote a portion of this, my favorite poem, philosophical and otherwise, poem for you. And I quote, it said, "Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth." It continued by saying, "Nurture strength of spirit to shield you from misfortune." In fact, one version also said, "From sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings." Another one said, "Vain imaginations." Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Be an wholesome discipline. Be gentle with yourself. When you're a child of the universe, you are no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. Unquote. No, let me continue. You have a right to be here. And whether, it continued by saying, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding, revealing itself as it should. Unquote. However, the fact still remains that from time to time, I, the mystic philosopher, or the mystic P, if you will, and quite possible, like some of you, my listeners, my watchers, I do find myself staring down the barrel of retirement, staring down the retirement, the retirement loading gun, the barrel of the what I call the retirement loaded gun. Yes, reality check. From time to time, I find myself, while looking down the retirement gun barrel, asking myself questions such as, one, Mystic, what if you end up living, or what if you ended up living or surviving or existing, hanging around this planet longer than you thought, or longer than you had expected, or longer than you planned to live? What if? These are what if questions. I'm coming up with a few what if questions. I, the mystic philosopher, is now faced with asking as I gracefully surrender youth. So what if? Number two, what if you outlive your very, I might add, limited resources? AKA, what if you outlive your money? Very limited amount of money. In other words, what if the angel of death forget you or forget me, and I outlive my retirement plan, or you, my listeners, might be listening or watching. What if you outlive your retirement plan? Question number three, what if again? What if your current meager but sustainable income stop coming in? AKA, what if it stopped flowing? What if the well run dry? I mean, before you expect it to, prematurely. Number four, what if again? What if inflation and cost of living make it impossible for you to live, make it impossible for you to survive or even to exist? Another question, another what if question, question number 5. What if the government run out of money? Hello, somebody. What if the government run out of money and stop giving you the little old age pension that they promised or has promised? Question number 6, another what if again. What if the government so-called health care is no longer free or is no longer available to you? Question number 7, what if you take sick and can't help yourself physically and financially? How will you live or survive or exist? What if? What if number 8, what if your partner? And just for the record and public declaration by partner, because I know I really like to use the word wife. Those of you who listen to me speak before, you understand why. But just for the record, when you say partner, you have to be careful the word you use. So just for the record and for public declaration, by partner, I literally mean my woman, my wife. What if my woman or my wife leave me? Or what if your woman or your wife leave you, either in life or in death? Because yes, we do take a vow, and the reality sometimes it's hard to deal with, but one of the reality is that some party have to go out some way, somehow, someday. Because in life or in death, do us separate? That's question number 9. What if all your children, I'm asking myself and I'm asking you to my people, the question is rhetorical. What if all your children and grandchildren, along with your family members, abandon you? Which again I must add for the record, I do think it's not only possible that some of my own will or that some would abandon me. I'm not fooling myself. But, and to the best of my current knowledge, along with the tangible evidence that I think I do have, some, if they outlive me, will find great pleasure in doing so. I have some, I can think of one right now, would have great pleasure. Yes, and abandon me. Yeah, should they outlive me? Yeah, they'll have great pleasure in doing so. And to some, it would be sweet revenge. Yes, family, friends, relatives, yes. It would be great revenge because to them I was not kind enough and generous enough. To some of them I was not kind. I was not kind or successful enough. Especially if or when they find out the truth. What if they abandon me if or when they find out the truth? Or abandon you if or when they find out the truth that you really don't have any possessions, material or otherwise, to die and leave for them to claim or to fight over? What if? You did that me and miss up again. In my case, I can hear some saying, look how long the boy they are for it. I know I'm not for sure fit. For my other listeners who are not Jamaican, let me do it as best as possible. Let me repeat that as best as possible in the people's language. Look how long that boy is abroad, and now he's home. He has nothing to show for it. Woo. You know, I have come to the harsh and factual realization that some people, especially your own children and family, think and believe that our sole and only purpose for being born and living in this life is to take care of them, to support them, till death do either part. That's what some of them think. That our only purpose is to answer their every beck and call. At the moment you can't. And if or when we fail to live up to their expectations, to answer their every beck and call, then their only hope for us is for sweet revenge. So you, my people, don't think that those who, whether you're your own picnic family, don't think they won't abandon you. Me think that is a reality, especially some things that I learned recently. And number 10, what if, and I ask that you please fill in the blank for that one. You can think of something that I might not be thinking of right now. And number 11, finally, for now. How will you be buried? You ever think about that? How will you be buried or cremated or disposed of when you die, when you drop out? Or who will bury, cremate or dispose of your remains when you die? You don't give a damn. You want to do whatever they want to do with it, they do with it. But something to think about. Depends on your philosophy and thinking on religiously, philosophically, spiritually, or otherwise. But those are serious questions to ask, and I will be dealing with that in an upcoming talk specifically on that subject. For your information, my listeners, this is a separate topic in and by itself that I will be sharing my perspective on very soon. So please stay tuned. It's very important, I think, especially to our community. Because it is not a matter of if we will die. That is, I just use the word die here, transition. But it is only when. That is the only thing in this thing that we all call life that is sure. Yep. And it is also the only thing that we don't really know when we will, again, transition, or when we will die, or how we will die, with the exception of those that meticulously plan for it. There are some people that plan how they're gonna expire. I'm not sure, that's another whole, personal and philosophical decision. Now, from my perspective, my people, like myself, for people like myself that do not have very clear, concise, and affirmative answers for all of these questions, our corner is dark. And only a retirement plan can or will minimize the catastrophe that will no doubt befall us should we live, or should we survive, or should we exist, or should we be hanging around this planet long enough or longer than expected. It could be a catastrophe. Yeah, it could be a catastrophe. Now, someone asked me the question, Mystic P, why are you singling out people age 40 to 75? Are you not afraid of being accused of age discrimination? No, you have to be, you can be accused of just about anything these days. No, but first let me answer the last part of the question first. Are you not afraid of being accused of age discrimination? And the answer is not at all. In fact, to quote Frank Sinatra, what is a man, what has he got? If not himself, then he has not. To say the things that he truly feels and not the words of one who kneels. So absolutely not. Not afraid of the accusation or whatever you want to say. The truth be told, I am much closer to 75 than to 40. Way closer, I might add. And to quote the late Robert Nesta Marley, as I often do in one of his messages in songs titled Jaliv, and I quote, the truth is an offense, but not a sin, unquote. And the only people that I think that might be offended by the truth that I, the Mystic Philosopher, speak, are old folks and mature people like myself, those that are either afraid to accept that they are old, that they have no retirement plan, and that they are running out of time, or that those that are pretending as if they are young. I have some people pretending as if they're young, them just start life when they're in their 60s. As if they are young and just have youth in their favor. Some people, you can't talk to them about life insurance. You can't talk to them about retirement plan. Sometimes big men like me, my age, can't talk to them about certain things. About, They get offended as if they don't want to talk about death, which is the only thing sure, but the thing we call death. Those are they that I think and do believe that might be off-ended. But do I care? Now, to the first part of the question, quote, Mystic P, why are you singling out people aged 40 to 75? The answer to that is that there are quite a number of valid reasons why I titled this talk or this presentation, this discourse, Retirement Plan dash for people 40 to 75 dash another perspective dash the Mystic Philosopher. In fact, there are enough reasons other than the obvious that I could give you and elaborate on that could take up all the time allotted to this part 4. But I will just quickly point out a few and then address the main reasons. 1, you may have noticed that the title said Retirement Plan hyphen for people 40 to 75 hyphen another perspective hyphen the Mystic Philosopher. It's intentional. Here I am linking at least 4 different ideas that I would like to elaborate on in just one single statement or in just one topic or in one sentence. In other words, each of these that are hyphenated can or could be talked about as one separate topic. Retirement plan means that I would be talking and I will be talking about retirement and plan separately and then as one thing. And if you follow me through part 1 to part 3, you will no doubt see that. For 40 to 75, here I am emphasizing and will be emphasizing even more the fact that if you are between 40 to 75 and you are not thinking and talking about retirement and planning to retire, then you are either being hypnotized, afraid, or you're either being hypnotized, you're either afraid of reality, or you are just not wise. And when you're not wise, you're a fool. Not wise as euphemistic we have to say, you're an idiot, you're a fool. But then again, if you're a real fool, you wouldn't understand what I just said to you. So it wouldn't even offend you, let alone alert you. 40 to 75 also mean that by the end of these talks, I will be sharing some ideas and possible offering at least one potential alternative, or a supplemental alternative as mentioned earlier to whom it may concern. In other words, I will be sharing with you some ideas and some of the strategies that I am employing. Some of the failures and the successes that I am getting, even though I must admit that I think I've started late in the game. And for your information, I am well pleased to inform you that the successes are outweighing and outlasting the failures by a lot. And another perspective is simply another point of view by yours truly, I, the Mystic P. Now, let me elaborate a little bit more on why I specifically say and use age 40 to 75. Well, one reason is because I am talking about middle age to old age. Middle age, as you no doubt will agree, that it means that we are halfway to the end of our destination, halfway to the end of our life. That's what middle age really means. You're reach at the halfway point. Can't even look back now. Look straight ahead. You know what's awaiting you. Second reason, it is because at that age, middle age, we are starting to run out of time. Yeah, I hear some people talk this garbage is rubbish, that age is just a number. Rubbish. It's a reality. But then again, that's another topic for another time. Third reason, it is because I am talking about when we peak out. when we climax, not that type of climax, when we climax, when we max out, and our body starts to show signs of wear and tear. When our body starts slowing down, if not completely slow down for some of us, and almost shut down. I know people at my age, body pretty much shut down. For your information, one accepted definition of middle age is as follows, and I quote, middle age is the period between early adulthood and old age, usually considered as the years from about 45 to 65, unquote. In other words, according to this quote from Wikipedia, that's where the quote came from, 45 may be interpreted as being the middle of old age, middle age, or middle age, I say middle of old age. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. However, from my perspective, age 40 is middle age. That's where I look at it, and I'll show you why shortly. Stay tuned. Listen carefully. And I'm being very generous, I must add, because the evidence is also showing that a lot of young people ain't making it to age 40 anymore. A lot of young people alive today ain't gonna live to see age 40. In other words, from my perspective, coupled with my own observation, with my own experiences and observations, the evidence is hereby showing that a lot of young people today are not going to live to see age 40. Even though they are not, most young people ain't watching this. They have no time for this. But that is the truth be told. And thus, for the very few that may, and the operative word here is may, make it to age 20, those who make it to age 40, age 20 would be what for them? Middle age. That is or that will be middle age for them. Age 20. Yeah? But that is also another topic for another time. Stay tuned. I have so much to talk about. I don't know if I will have time to do it. However, and as it stands right now, from where I am looking at things and interpreting it, in all practical reality, to some 40 is the new middle age. Middle age meaning that according to the evidence provided by our ancestors and by our own personal observation, if we make it to 40, we are halfway to, as mentioned before, halfway to the end, to our destination. We are halfway to the end point, which is our expiry date. We have, most people don't think about it, but the truth is we have what I call an inspiry date, which is at birth. Meaning we took in the spirit, we took in the life-giving force, or the life energy, or the life-giving energy, some refer to it as the life force, at that which we, that is when we were born, we took in the life force, some also call it, aka the breath of life, independently, and for the first time. Because one may argue that we were breathing or we were living before we take our own independent breath while in our mother's womb. But that's something else to talk about. And we both have an inspiry date and an expiry date, when we must release and give back the spirit, when we must release and give back the life-giving energy or the life-giving force, at which time we call it what? Death. And age 75 to age 80 is really old age. Meaning dropout could be, or dropout will be any day or any night now. In fact, according to the ancient ones, coupled with my own observations, I will take my mom as an example and many others, anything past 70 is a bonus. If you live in past 70 years of age, consider that a bonus. For example, according to the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, also known as the Christian Holy Bible, the alleged psalmist David said the following, and I quote, "Our days may come to 70 years or 80 if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow. For they quickly passed and we fly away." Unquote. That was taken from the Bible called the New International Version. And for your information, this was written over 3,000, 4,000, however long, almost 4,000 years ago, according to the record. Or approximately 4,000 years ago. Over 3,000 at least. 1,000 years ago. Let me give it from another version. A long time these guys figure out that 70 is, marks out time. The Berean Standard Bible renders the same scripture as follows, or like this. The length, and I quote, "The length of our days is 70 years, or 80 if we are strong. Yet their pride is but labor and sorrow. For they quickly pass and we fly away, we vanish," unquote. And finally, how can I not mention the King James Version, which most people are accustomed to? Possibly most of my listeners are accustomed to the King James Version. From this, quoting the same scripture, it also say it like this. "The days of our years are 80 years and 10, and if by reason of strength there be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away," unquote. And that again is from the book called Psalm 90 and verse 10. Check it for yourself. It's not recently 70 has been, people understand what happened after 70. Or 80. So here we have further evidence that we who made it to 40 and beyond 40 were robbed of the best days. If you remember from part 1 to part 2 to part 3, we were robbed of the best days of our lives. And those who are less than 40 are still today being robbed of the best days of their lives by the system, aka our slave masters, our slave mistresses, the workforce, aka as mentioned earlier. And those of us that made it to age 60 and beyond are being and have been put out to pasture, aka retirement. But here again, my people have run out of time. I run out of the time allotted to this part 4. And we'll have to pick up from right here in part 5. Yes, it is the end of part 4. So I ask that you please join me in part 5 for the continuation of retirement plan for people 40 to 75, another perspective, the Mystic Philosopher. And where and when I will go right into addressing, answering, and sharing with you some of my findings on retirement plans as I answer question number 3 from the list of questions I gave prior. From my list of questions, namely, what are some of the traditional and common types of retirement plans? Hope to see you then. And in the meantime and between time in your becoming, I will let you be more and more and much, much more, not less, aka blessed. For I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say.